This programme is funded by the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland with the television licence fee.
EQ and IQ is the main thing, and I think as a business owner and a leader, your EQ has to get up there pretty fast. Because IQ will get you your business up and running, but to keep a culture and a staff and people, you need EQ.
Hello, I'm Maria Staunton.
And I'm Mary Costello.
And this is Making It, the show that reveals the true stories of Mayo's women in business. From top executives, to artists, to female founders, to those providing essential services in our local towns.
Stay with us for the next 20 minutes. And who knows, you might hear the advice or inspiration you need to get your own dream off the ground.
Hello and welcome to Making It. I'm Maria Staunton. Now, some of the women we feature on Making It, not all of them, but some of them have a spouse or partner in the background, giving moral support and often providing practical help. But it's quite another thing to actually run a business together as a couple, as partners in business. Today my guest is Lorraine Corcoran, and she and her husband Aidan have done exactly that. They're both engineers, and they met while working at Hewlett-Packard in the early 2000s. In 2010, they co-founded a consultancy firm with a small group of other engineers called Team Horizon. Then a few years later, Lorraine and Aidan took over a manufacturing plant in Claremorris called Cosmetic Creations. I spoke to Lorraine in February 2020, just as the world was beginning to be turned upside down by COVID. Within a few weeks of our conversation, her company had switched production away from cosmetics to making thousands of bottles of hand sanitizer. Later that year, Cosmetic Creations also changed to a new name, LYNOSLIFE. I began by asking Lorraine why they had wanted to buy a manufacturing plant in the first place.
We set up Horizon from scratch in 2010, and directly with pharmaceuticals. But our goal always, because we are in manufacturing, our entire careers have been in manufacturing, that the creation of a product is kind of your end goal in manufacturing. And as engineers, that's what you're trying to facilitate. So we always had that dream that we never thought it would be cosmetics orientated. We thought it would be something maybe more on the pharma or med device line to begin with. But I suppose the cosmetics manufacturing isn't that dissimilar from pharmaceuticals. It's liquid fills at the end of the day. So it's bulk mixing of product and liquid fills. So
tell us a little bit about what happens in Cosmetic Creations. For those who aren't involved in these businesses, often don't know what goes on in these places.
Yeah, like what are you doing on that computer screen all day? I remember my Aidan used to say to our kids when they were younger, when he was working in a pharmaceutical company in Mayo, that the Oompa Loompas used to come in and be working away, and so that the Charlie's Chocolate Factory is kind of how all kids think factories are,
because it's hard to understand it otherwise.
But it kind of is not quite as fun, unfortunately, as Willy Wonka's, and you can't drink all the chocolate river. There is no chocolate river. We don't have one of those.
Put on some tan.
Well, we have a tan river maybe. Not quite the same.
Not for a child.
No. So in manufacturing, I suppose it's an environment where there's all sorts of departments. So we would start, I suppose, we are lucky enough that we do a lot of product development. We have our own R&D team, formulation chemists.
That when product development and R&D. So what are you looking at, or what are you?
So I suppose we would have customers, whether there be startup or existing brand, boutique owners or retailers, would come in looking for a certain type of majority cosmetic type products. We also do some other ranges as well, but the vast majority is cosmetics, so skincare, hair care, body care, and we do a lot of self-tanning, so fake tan basically products.
So if somebody, for example, has a fake tan product that they want to make, and they maybe have a brand already.
Yeah, so they would kind of approach us and go, we're really interested in doing this, or we see a gap in the market, or we really feel we can do something different. We want to put our own stamp. So everything we do is bespoke, customized, formulated. The white label is a term that maybe not everybody understands, but white label is not what we do. We bespokely design to the needs and requirements of the customer, what angles they want. So maybe they want a tan, for example, that's a certain colour, or they want an olive tone, they want a certain fragrance, they don't want that biscuit smell that some people are maybe familiar with.
And do they need to know this before they even come to you?
Usually the people who are really strong, route to market, understand what their brand's going to be, and how they're going to sell their product. And I suppose we're the techies then behind it.
Techies they may be, but techies with business heads too. Lorraine and Aidan bought Cosmetic Creations from previous owner John O'Sullivan in 2017. John had received other offers from competitors, but he was anxious that the 27 jobs associated with the plant wouldn't be lost.
And then I suppose we just took the leap, and just everybody in Claremorris made us so welcome, and they were gagging to make the business grow and move. And anybody that's there, like there's some guys there since the beginning, since the early 80s, and they're like, this is our time. We've waited so long. They were always committed to being there.
Just to talk a little bit about yourself. So we'll go back to, I read that you were 13 when you wanted to be an engineer. So let's just touch on that, because I'm thinking about there's girls in particular out there thinking about, leaving cert is coming.
Subjects.
Yeah. What subjects will I do? How the heck did you choose engineering? Just give us an idea, because this is what are we talking about, the 90s? Around that.
I did my junior cert in 92.
You're telling everybody your age now.
Well, look.
Yeah. Who cares?
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't change it. It's only a number.
It is, yeah.
But I suppose I went into a mixed secondary school. I'm originally from Longford. I'm from Centre Parks Town. I'm from Ballymatton. So I was lucky. I went into a mixed school, but I didn't know what mechanical drawing was. So I'd started doing home economics. And look, I really like cooking, but I wouldn't be great at the whole sewing and that side of things. And I was kind of quite bored. And then I was like, where are all the guys going? We're in here. And then I saw the room with the guys, and there was two girls, actually, one boarder and another girl who dad's actually a civil engineer, or her mom was an architect, actually.
Okay.
So she knew I didn't know what the subject was, and I literally fought. I went to the career guidance. She was a nun. And I said, I want to do that. And I dragged my parents in. I said, I want to change. So in Christmas of first year, I changed over to mechanical drawing. And you do science anyway, and I love science.
Okay.
And I loved maths. I had a fantastic maths teacher, amazing. Yeah. So I was lucky, I kind of knew. And my dad would be board in Mona, so he very hands-on, welding, making things, machinery.
Great.
I was always interested, like Star Wars, E.T., all that stuff I loved as a kid. I never wanted to be at home. I've always wanted to be gone since I was 13.
Okay.
And I'd grown up on a farm and all the rest of it. I don't know what it was. I don't know where the dreaming thing came from, but that was the whole, there's a bigger world out there, and I wanted to be in it. And that was really my driver.
From school, Lorraine got a place at the University of Limerick to study mechanical engineering. And was it very male dominated? Like, were you the only female in the class, or was there a couple of females?
So there was 60 guys in mechanical engineering and 6 girls. And then for the year, so there's mechanical, aeronautical, electronic and production engineering in UL. There was 200 engineers in total, 10 girls.
10 girls, wow. Because I think the statistics are still kind of quite low.
They haven't really changed, unfortunately, no.
I heard that.
Yeah, and there's kind of maybe an idea that engineers are fixing trains, or I've never entirely touched an engine in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, there's kind of maybe a misconception that engineering is greasy monkey types. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder what it is, because I was thinking that I read somewhere that girls interested 10 and 11 is quite good, and then it wanes at like 15 years of age. 40, I can't remember the stats, like quarter of 120,000 people with jobs in STEM are women, which is about 30,000. So, the stats are very low. I was thinking about schools, they're doing all they can. Can they do, is there anything you would suggest, like bringing someone like yourself into a school would be quite interesting?
Yeah, and I suppose I've done some talks in like primary school. My kids are in, and I've even done a little bit of I'm not the chemist, but I go in and bring in and show how to make a product or whatever. So at least they see by doing chemistry or science, you can actually make things. It's not kind of goggles with a lab coat and you don't really know, you just see glassware and not really understanding what the guys are doing. I think, like, I was never in an actual factory in my life until I was on my work experience in third year in college.
Really? Well,
Like, I'd never been in one because you didn't get access. So I suppose we did, last year we would have brought my daughter's business studies class from her secondary school down. So we broke them into the lab so they got to work with the chemist. And then I brought them on a tour of the whole life cycle of the product around the plant physically, so they could see how incoming was the raw materials, where they went, how the product was made, how it was filled, how it was palletized, how it was ready to be shipped out again. So, and then kind of explain to them that you could do finance and end up in a manufacturing plant. You could do marketing and end up in you could do chemistry and end up in a lab in a manufacturing plant. You could do engineering and you're working on the facility utilities or the packaging equipment. Like the business study teachers were like, oh, that's amazing because you get to see a whole life cycle and how a microcosm of people from different backgrounds and different interests.
I told Lorraine that at the Innovation Centre in GMIT and on the Empower programme, I'll occasionally meet couples that are in business together, like she and Aidan are. How difficult is that? I look at them sometimes and say, what do they talk about all day? What do they talk about when they go home? If they go out for a drink, what do they talk about? So how do you manage that?
Yes, like Horizon was our fourth child for a long time. I suppose the fact Aidan and I both met at work, I suppose, makes it a bit easier. But we had to stop ourselves. Like when Horizon especially we kind of had to
draw a line
and kind of, but I suppose it's only experience. It wasn't easy, I can say that. But I know I've heard and talked to a lot of business people who are going, they're up all night, every night talking about doing this. But I go, that's burnout situation.
Yes,
you're going to be, and been there, done that for years. And I'm just like, I need to spend time with my kids because they're getting older. And it's, you know what I mean? What's life about?
Learning that lesson allowed Lorraine and her husband to continue growing the business. Less than 3 years after buying the site in Claremorris, they expanded capacity. They bought a former Yves Rocher plant in Cork for €7.5 million, which allowed them to increase manufacturing capacity fourfold and also secure dozens more jobs. Lorraine attributes a lot of their success to the connections and social relationships they built through business networks, like EO, which is the Entrepreneurs Organisation.
Yeah, and to be honest, you have to spend time in Dublin. To build any business, you have to spend time in Dublin, and you need networks in Dublin, and and it's through all those networks that helped us get Cosmetic Creations.
That's great.
So you reap the reward, but it does take time. Now a lot of people would say to us, "You've turned it around really quickly, and you've moved really fast." And I suppose we've gone through every second of it, so we think it's taken forever. But you know what I mean, and when you look back and it's now the 10-year thing with Horizon, for us we're kind of going, wow, we've done that, and we should be really but you're constantly looking for the next thing and moving forward.
Do you think there's certain things that females go through that maybe the men don't, that you can compare it to your husband even, that they need more help with? Like I sometimes saw not maybe from certain groups, but confidence can be something, leadership can be another thing.
Confidence, leadership and conscientious. Like I suppose women are naturally very conscientious and caring because that's our build to biology makeup. So you would care a lot more, or you'd take things probably to heart a lot. And I would also, that would be my personal thing, and the confidence, and the people would say to me, oh, you come across really confident all the time, And I said, yeah, if it's technical, no problem, I'll be confident because I know my stuff. But if it's kind of leadership stuff, because you're conscious of people and the effect on them personally and their life, and you don't want to upset somebody, or you
take the more emotional stuff.
Yeah,
you kind of
and I think that, not to say all men are emotionally devout.
No, I agree with that.
Like
They're
that.
not.
But it is EQ and IQ is the main thing. And I think as a business owner and a leader, your EQ has to get up there pretty fast. Yeah. Because IQ will get your business up and running, but to keep a culture and a staff and people, you need EQ.
On top of that, of course, as an engineer used to being hands-on, Lorraine has had to learn to take a step back and loosen the reins a little.
That's hard, and that's taken me years to delegate and be comfortable with letting people go off. But I suppose you have to trust. your staff, and and over the years it's got better and better, and I really trust the people I work with. So, and then along as if they've a flag or an issue, and you have to create that environment as well that they can go, hey, I'm not happy with this, or what do you think of this, or
you have to let them lead.
Yeah, and then I suppose that as a business owner and a director, it's not, you have to get away from the doing and being involved in the nitty gritty and actually let them and then guide. And it is quite a different skill set.
Lorraine mentioned earlier her childhood dreams of exploring the wild world beyond home in Longford. And engineering is a great degree for someone like that. You can work all over the world without having to requalify. After college, she'd fulfil that ambition, travelling loads while working for multinationals such as HP, Medtronic and Abbott. She and Aidan had been based in Dublin, but they moved to Galway when their daughter arrived. Aidan was commuting to a job in Westport, and that's how they ended up in Mayo.
We looked to move to America so many times, Australia, Canada. The last thing we were going to do was end up in Mayo. Like, do you know what I mean? It was.
You love it.
You know what I mean? And now, like when I moved up, kicking and screaming for more and more. Always wanted to live in Oranmore. Had a house in Oranmore. Came up to Westport, knowing nobody, and going, I want to get out of here as quick as possible. And 2 kids in, and then Aidan's like, going, we'll set up the business, and I was like, actually, yeah, I don't want to move back to Galway.
Yeah, you end up forming roots, don't you?
Yeah, it's funny, like, and I'd, like, my friends at home slag me off that I support Mayo, like, and I'd rather sing a Mayo song.
Oh,
I'm like, well, Longford's not winning anything. So they get really anarchy when I say that. I'm going, you're supporting Kildare because your parents are from Kildare. Come on here. What are you at?
What's the least favourite thing of being an entrepreneur? What's the most thing that kind of, you could just... Is it like, when we think of lots of different things financially, the instability, or the insecurity or whatever, or is it, I don't know, what from your own?
I suppose it's, for me, I suppose it's the people. It's the conscious thought of a lot of people are reliant on you and you don't want to let them down. Whether it's the salary run every month and that's kind of paramount for us. We want to make sure everybody gets paid, and everybody gets paid before we do, which a lot of business people say is cardinal sin. You should always pay yourself first. That's, I suppose, and it's to keep everybody else going as well. You want to make sure they have their lives and they're happy, and that they're not worried about not getting their kids Christmas presents and stuff. You know what I mean? That's the stuff you worry about. Yeah. And you want to make sure they're happy, and that's the things that would keep me up and kind of make me
worry about sometimes.
Everything else I think is workable. It's, you know what I mean, you'll get through all of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my main kind of concern. And once we're past all that and you know it's in the bank and you don't have to be worried about it every month, then you're on, you know what I mean, a lot easier street.
You've been listening to Making It. A very big thanks to my guest this week, Lorraine Corcoran of LYNOSLIFE and Team Horizon. We love to hear your comments or questions. Find us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter at Making It Mayo, or email us makingitmayo@gmail.com. This show was recorded remotely for Claremorris Community Radio. For more great locally made programmes, visit ccr946.ie. I'm Maria Staunton. Until next time, thanks for listening.
This programme is funded by the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland with the television licence fee.